Thank you, Minister Makrim, for your remarks and your leadership to transform education in Indonesia and beyond. Thank you to the THK Forum and United in Diversity Foundation, President Tantowi Yahya and Sherry Nursalim, for inviting us to co-organize this event. Thank you everyone online for participating in this convening. It is timely and it is urgent. The world is facing multiple interconnected crises, the food, energy, debt and economic crisis all layered on top of the lingering COVID pandemic and of course the existential problem of climate change. But underneath all of this is another deep crisis, the silent pandemic, the global education crisis. The UN Secretary General warned that this crisis will have profound impacts for decades to come. It is unacceptable that close to 300 million children and young people are out of school today. It's also unacceptable, as the skills clock shows, that 70% of young people do not have the basic literacy and numeracy skills they need to thrive and navigate an increasingly complex world. That is a total of 840 million young people who will not be able to live up to their potential. At the same time, education systems are no longer fit for purpose. They do not deliver the skills that are needed for the rapidly changing world. Skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and empathy. And the education workforce is poorly trained, undervalued, and underpaid, and is held back by outdated methods. We must act now, not only because education is a human right, but also because it is the foundation to achieve all other SDGs. It drives economies, ensures healthy and harmonious societies, and reduces the great inequities of our time. There will be no sustained recovery without investments in education. The discussion today aims to identify new ideas to leverage blended finance for delivering digital learning at scale. I would like to highlight two specific ideas in this context. The first specific idea is about innovation in delivery through high-touch, high-tech. I want to recognize the Indonesian government's leadership in digital transformation, with digital literacy and skills as two major components in the national agenda. We need others to follow this leadership and invest in what works. One of the things we know works is adapting teaching to the level of each learner. This is one of the most effective ways to improve learning outcomes rapidly and increase equity. But to do this at scale, we must harness solutions that have been proven to work. This is why the Global Education Commission and its hub in Asia have been spearheading the High-Touch, High-Tech for All initiative. This initiative aims to deliver personalized learning at scale by combining the transformation of teaching and teachers, the high touch, with the power of AI-enabled adaptive technology, the high tech. A prototype in Vietnam resulted in 2 years' worth of learning improvements in just 1 semester. But scaling this kind of innovation will require large-scale investments, will require overcoming the digital divide. We cannot accept that close to half of the world's population, 3.6 billion people, still live without internet access, many of them living in developing countries. But connectivity will not be enough. To make connectivity work for education, content must be developed, curated and localized to meet each country's needs. Teachers and facilitators must be trained to use new technologies, and investments must be made in data and analytics. Realizing the potential of digital technologies in education will require significant new finance. In this decade alone, an estimated $1.4 trillion will be needed to universalize digital learning. This must start with expanding domestic resources and spending those resources on evidence-based solutions. But innovative approaches to financing will be needed to plug the gap, especially in the short to medium term. This gets me to my second specific idea, an innovation in financing. The International Financing Facility for Education launched at the Transforming Education Summit this September in partnership with the Asian Development Bank and other regional development banks is a prime example of such an innovation. It brings public and private finances together in new ways for maximum impact. We will hear more about this instrument later in the session. There are huge opportunities, but we must work together across all sectors, public and private, to explore how these blended financing tools can unlock learning for all. We cannot develop some of the potential of some people in some countries. We must develop all the potential of all people in all countries. Thank you.